Aloha folks and welcome to today's video. Today I've been contemplating an email that I received from Zen Human Design, Cayetano, and he was talking about how the receiver of human design, Ra Uber, who being a manifester, he's all about the to do. And Ra is an Aries, very headstrong. The ram's head is Aries. So Aries may be ruled by Mars, but Aries rules the head. Gemini and Virgo are mercurial signs. Mercurial tends to be, kind of mental, and they don't rule the head, but Mars, the ram's head, Aries rules the head. So I was like, Aries, it feels like Aries kind of took things over a little bit, the Arian nature. The world is under an Arian nature. Perhaps. So me being the goofball that I am, I saw this weird little connection to the Thema Mundi. So here we have the Thema Mundi, which places Cancer in the first house. Modern Western astrology puts Aries in the first house. And they often start the story, oh, Aries is the spark. So you're born spark, and then you get into your body. That's Taurus. So here, yeah, that ram's head. I didn't know. So the Thema Mundi story, which I prefer, starts with Cancer. And I like Cancer because, when you have human design being led by a manifester, you're being, ram's head, but really, this is so action oriented. That's 10th house. What am I doing? First house, who am I? Fourth house, where do I come from? Seventh house, who am I with? And 10th house, what am I doing? The ram's head is just punching, is breaking ground, and that's what Ra was doing. But who we each really are, human design can really take a good hard look at the Thema Mundi's placement of the moon in the first house. And it will help to remind us the importance of the reflectors and the importance of the classic human design teachings, where the basic instruction is there's either a design to do or a design to wait. And the most basic chart configuration, even though it's the most rare, would be that of what's considered to be a reflector, a completely open chart. To wait is the norm. To do is a phase. So it's really interesting. So we have Cancer here in the first house. Cancer is the womb water. So we have the mother, the moon, and Jupiter, that's Zeus, right? Pardon. Jupiter is often looked at in the chart as the man. So you have the moon, the mother, and the man coming together to give birth to you. Isn't that awesome? This is the first house, the house of the self. So Mercury finds his joy in the first house. Why does Mercury find his joy in the first house? Well, in a way, you are Mercury the messenger, in a way. And what way is that? Well, Mercury was the god who took messages from the gods up on Mount Olympus and brought it down to mankind on Earth. And so there is a piece of you that takes those messages from the heavens and transports it to your physical being so that you can express what you're divinely here to express. And so that's the process of discovering the self. That's the mystery of the self, is learning what you get to express. and seeing how unique it comes out each time. So when we have Cancer, who rules the midsection and the womb in the first house, it makes a lot more sense. Who am I? I am that of my mother's womb and the offspring of her man. Ta-da! I am here with a message. Ta-da! And the second house, the house of resources. My greatest resource is my heart. Leo rules the heart. My greatest resource is, in fact, my ego. That's the lion, my identity. It's my greatest resource. And at the same time, it is something to really wrestle with. Really wrestle with. That's why the second house is not visible from the first house. It's something to wrestle with, the ego. But that heart, it's hard to see what the heart wants sometimes. And this configuration makes it very evident. But it puts the heart in the second house, the house of your resources, your wealth. And then it makes it difficult to see by being in the second house. I mean, perfect. That's perfect. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have to contend with your ego because it's there, it's behaving, it's doing things, it's a resource. And at the same time, you can't see it. And so it's troublesome. So perfectly hilarious configuration this way. And then, okay, so you're born into your heart and your ego. And as you're growing up as a little child, this is the third house. This is considered early education or primary education, communication. It's considered short distance travel. This is the house of the goddess, the joy of the moon, and it's going to have Virgo when you have Cancer rising, Cancer in the first house. So double Mercury. And you can imagine, like, okay, like I said, you're born into your ego / heart, and then you're starting to grow up. And these are your early imprints. And these early imprints imply first. You're the baby first roll over, baby first starts to babble, baby's first words, baby's first crawl, baby's first steps, baby's first food, baby's first non-solid food into baby's first solid food. So that's, that implies the Virgo aspect, this virgin, this newness, this freshness, this bringing of something brand new into the world. That baby is brand new, and now we have to go through the rites. No matter what level of experience the mother is in, there are certain routines that the mother must go through, hence the moon. And so it adds like a stability to Virgo, this moon energy in the third house, because Mercury is already kind of all over the place, and the moon is very regular. It's the most regular outside of the sun. So these early imprints are really important because they lead into what's going into the fourth house. And we have Libra in the fourth house. So Libra in the fourth house rather than the seventh is really interesting. When we have Libra in the fourth house, it shows us that relationship is really the root of everything. And it truly is. And that actually goes back to this whole Mercury finding its joy in the first house, because Mercury is communing. Your inner Mercury is communing between your higher soul and your physical self here. And that communion, that is a relationship. And that relationship itself is this process of Libra. So we are ever attracted to what we're really here to do and who we really are. And that would ultimately be our higher self. So that's that attraction to who and what we really are is the root of our being, and it drives us. And in order for us to be able to reach this, to reach a proper balance within this relationship of our soul and our physical being, we need a level of discipline. And that's why Saturn is exalted in Libra. And as we move towards these things that we want to balance in our lives, we get immersed in the different tasks. Immersed, that's Scorpio. And we start to try to achieve different things within the realms of the different areas that we're trying to balance within ourselves. And it's through Mars that we can tap into our ability to achieve. And why is Libra? Why is Venus exalted? Why does Venus find her joy in the 5th house? Because this is what we're trying to create. What we're trying to create is a result of what we're trying to balance in our lives, which is a result of those initial imprints and those first rights that we experienced as children. So there's a big sequential thing going on here in the bottom quarter of the chart. Okay, and it actually goes into this next house. This is the 6th house. The 6th house is often, so this 5th house, right? It's much more sense with Scorpio in the 5th house, because Scorpio rules the gonads, and the 5th house is about children and sexuality and creativity. So it just falls so much better that Scorpio falls into the 5th house, again, because it rules the gonads. Children, it should be the 5th house. Okay, so 6th house, work in the sense of responsibility, illness, potentially health issues. It's interesting that we have the house of bad fortune having Jupiter ruled sign when we have Cancer in the 1st house. So why do I think this is? I think this is because through hardship, we find our inner truth. It's through hardship that we have to dig deep within and find the truth, because the truth ultimately lies within. And that's what that arrow of the archer Sagittarius is pointing towards. It's the truth, and the truth is within. And hardship forces us to look within. Illness, responsibility, slavery, imprisonment, all of those things. Imprisonment's a little bit more 12th house, but it can be 6th house. Yeah, all those things really force us to look within for strength, and within lies the truth. And Mars finds his joy in this area because Mars is bored. Mars is busy, wants to achieve things, and when there's a bunch of things messed up, then Mars gets to get busy. So that's that was all spurred on because I wanted to reorient things a little bit more towards the moon and encourage people to slow down and really reflect a little bit more deeply, rather than just be a battering ram all the time. And maybe another time I will do the 2nd half of the zodiac, but that's all I wanted to do for now. And yeah, thanks for listening.